Over the years, I've seen a lot of drummers who struggle to take their playing to the next level. A lot of the time, it's because they're unknowingly doing things that slow down their progress. So today, I'll talk about 6 common mistakes drummers make and how to fix them. So the first mistake is not practicing with a click. A big problem many drummers have is inconsistent time or losing their count. For example, losing the 1 after a drum fill when going back to the groove. Now, don't get me wrong. On stage or in the studio, playing without a click works perfectly. But, you still need to have a solid time in order to play without one. And the only way to build that skill is by practicing with a click. A drummer's main job is keeping time, on top of having a good sound and supporting the band, of course, right? So for me, practicing with a click is a must. Also, when you don't use a click, you can't really track your progress because you don't really know what tempos you've reached. So I recommend always practicing with a click and writing down the tempos. Okay, the second mistake is not counting. Counting out loud is another great way to work on your time and is really, really important. I'll give you an example. If I'm working on a 16th note exercise in 4/4, I will count the 16th note subdivision, which will be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Another example could be a fill or an exercise with 8th note triplets. In that case, I will count the subdivision of the triplets, right? So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. So the type of subdivision doesn't necessarily matter, but you need to make sure that you count the subdivision out loud. And honestly, this is one of the main things that helps me not lose the count when I'm soloing or playing different phrases. And I really feel like it gives me freedom. So you should definitely give it a try. Mistake number 3 is not practicing slow tempos. Do you sometimes feel that you can't reach a certain speed with your hands or feet, or that you hit a wall? Maybe you have been practicing for a very long time without seeing major progress in your tempos. Usually, if that happens to students, I ask them to describe to me how they practice. And they almost always say they've been practicing on fast tempos or that they've increased the tempo too quickly, but haven't practiced the exercises in slow tempos. And that makes perfect sense because speeding up too fast without spending enough time at slow tempos hurts your progress. I like comparing it to the gym. You wouldn't start with a 5-pound dumbbell and then jump to a 50-pound dumbbell the week after without building proper form. Progress takes time and speed takes time as well. So I always recommend starting with a very slow tempo, like 50 or 60 beats per minute, and then you can increase the tempo by 1 to 2 beats per minute a day. Try spending a lot of time on those slow exercises. That's how you build your foundation. And it is the only way you'll be able to play fast with good technique. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Playing slowly is the secret to playing fast. Trust me, it works and it's worth it. If you like my drum videos and would like to see more of them, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. And now let's move on to mistake number 4. Okay, so mistake number 4 is not transcribing music. I mostly talk about solos. It doesn't have to be solos. It could be a groove as well. But I feel like some drummers could have an amazing technique, amazing skills, but they don't have that feel, if you know what I mean. And I feel like feel and ideas, of course, come from learning other drummers and learning what they do. So again, I'm not saying that you have to copy what they're doing and then play what they're doing on your shows. I'm just saying you need to learn what they're doing. It could be in any genre that you like, but you should probably pick the drummers that you love the most and then just learn their solos. Slow them down if they're too fast and then learn them, play them. You don't have to write them down, but that's an option. I think it would be better if you don't find transcriptions online because you're basically not working on your ear training. I think that's a great ear training thing to actually transcribe it on your own. I would say that's most of what I did. Of course, like I also practiced and came up with my own stuff or, went to different drum teachers who showed me things. But I'm just saying, learning from legendary drummers is a great way of improving your playing And it's one of the best ways to do so. And it's definitely something that I've been doing for a long, long time. So I definitely recommend, and I think it's a must. And after you gain that knowledge, after you've transcribed so many different drummers, now you have a toolbox in front of you, and you can choose what you want to take from it and then make it your own. So like I said, I'm not saying you have to copy what they're doing, but just like learn everything, right? You should be influenced from different styles of music as well. And then you can choose and tailor, your own style and your own sound, which I think is very important. I feel like nowadays a lot of musicians sound the same. They're trying to copy different musicians. And eventually you want to come up with your own sound. So it is a combination of, exploring your own sound while, learning from other people and, of course, practicing technique. Okay, so mistake number 5 is not having a balanced sound on the drum kit. Let me explain what I mean by that with a quick example. So I'm going to play 3 drum beats, which are actually the same drum beat, but there's one difference between them. So let me know if you can tell what that difference is. Okay, so in the first beat, the hi-hat was louder than the rest of the components, which were the snare and the kick. In the second beat, the snare was too loud. And in the third beat, everything was balanced. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I do hear a lot of drummers play their snare or hi-hat too loud compared to the rest of the kit. Now, playing with dynamics is great and it's important, but once you decide to play louder or softer, just make sure that you apply that to the entire kit so that the sound stays balanced. Okay, so the last mistake is mistake number 6, which is having a bad grip. If your grip is too tight, it can hold you back from playing fast, and it can even cause you pain over time. So a few tips to help your grip. Okay, so the first thing is you need to make sure that the first fulcrum, which is the first line of your index finger, touches the stick, and that you keep a small gap between the thumb and the index finger, just like that. So you don't want to, close that gap like this. You want to still have a gap. You also need to make sure the back of your hands is facing up, right? So I'm not playing with a French grip. I mean, you can call it a mat grip. I feel like maybe I'm playing something in the middle. And make sure, and this is really important, that you use the natural bounce off the stick. So don't try to force the movement too much. Meaning, okay, so this is me just using the natural bounce of the stick, okay? And now I'll try to force the movement. So by forcing the movement, I'm actually keeping the stick from actually going back up, which is wasting energy. And you should help the stick go up and down rather than create the whole motion yourself, right? The stick should bounce back with almost no effort. So the grip shouldn't be too stiff. Everything should be super loose. And you just need to let the stick move in your palm. Okay, that's it, guys. These were the 6 mistakes most drummers make. Also, if you're interested, I offer online one-on-one drum lessons. So feel free to reach out to me through my website, which is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.